What's up, Band Brothers?
Hey.
I was trying to get our cool music to play, but it won't play.
I was going to say, it started for a second. There we go.
No. What happened
Oh,
to the cool music?
I don't know.
Is it there?
I hear music, but it's less cool.
Oh, I'm just playing with. I'm not hearing anything.
I can hear it.
I can't hear it. Maybe I'm wearing the wrong thing. Who knows?
It's
No.
some easy,
Is it easy listening?
kind of folky. Yeah, it's fine.
There it is. Yeah.
Did you hear it now?
Yeah, I can hear it now. Amazing.
Amazing.
Terrible. Okay, good. We're stopping that. Ugh, gross. I keep telling myself I have to find my own music to put on here, but I've never done it. So anyway, hi everybody. It's Anna and Janice Brothers. We're the brother sister. And you are listening to us, well, live, unless you're listening to the podcast later, and then it's less live and more not live. But for right now, it's live.
Exactly.
Any questions? Okay, good. No questions. So here we are on the Sunday after Thanksgiving, otherwise known as the 26th of November-ish, 2023. And yeah. So Anne, you were in Canada on Thanksgiving.
Yes,
And
they call it Thursday.
So I've heard they
Yes.
do in fact call it Thursday, which is very exciting because Thursday's the best day of the week because it used to be bar night in college, and I've just never lost that.
It's always cheap bar night. It was the cheapest of the bar nights.
It is, and I never really took advantage of that so much because I didn't go to places like the Wooden Nickel or was it Theo's?
Yes, Theo's Spaghetti.
Yes.
Was it Spaghetti Bender?
Spaghetti Bender, yes. Yes. So those were the places in Ypsilanti where Thursday night was a big deal, but most of Thursday night was important because that was usually like the opening of a show, and so then you'd go to the Tower Inn afterwards and experience that funness. So that theater nerds did.
Yeah, that was way fun.
So yeah, we had Thanksgiving and you had Thursday while you were in Toronto, Canada, which is good, which is very cool. So
yeah,
anyway,
somebody I know today asked me what I did, and I told her we went to Canada, and she's like, "Well, was anything open on Thursday?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it was just Thursday there. Everything was open."
Love that.
So I was like, yeah,
and then she did what the rest of us do. She's like, "Oh, that's right. The rest of the world is different than us."
Exactly.
And that can be kind of like a shock to the system a little bit. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, yeah."
And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a little embarrassed that I am such an American that I thought it was all like here."
like everybody is thankful that we had Thanksgiving, including the Canadians. So anyway, so for those of you that are just joining us for the first time, here's the stuff that you should know about us as we start our show. We are Anne and Janice Brothers. We are sisters. We are related by blood. We have the same mother and the same father. Yes, that's correct. Truly sisters. We are the Brother Sisters. Our last name is Brothers. We're in our 50s. We are Gen Xers and proud of it. We talk about on this show, we talk about smart stuff, dumb stuff, fun stuff, all of the stuff in any order or not. And we've been told we are good to listen to in the car. That's right. We're going to make that drive across Kansas bearable. But not really.
No,
it's
not
Kansas.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is Kansas.
We are not cool or hip, nor are we sexy. And if you are watching the video of this, you can see how not cool or sexy that we are, as I'm wearing my Quick Trip sweatshirt, my old hat, and Anna's wearing her NPR shirt.
But I have a bra on, so.
Oh, look at you. You dressed up for the show today wearing a bra.
I know.
Nice.
I put one on to go to yoga this morning, and then I forgot to take it off.
Oh, all right. Yep. We want to be your emotional support podcast, so that's why we're here to talk about stuff so that you can listen to us in the car on your way through Kansas. And if you're driving through Kansas today, well, your weather's probably better today than it was yesterday, so good job on that. You can find us on our right here. We're on Facebook right now. You can also find us on YouTube Live. Those are the two live broadcasts that we do. But you can also now find us as a podcast on Spotify anytime, any day, 24/7, 365 days a year, any year of the decade. So there you go.
There you go.
This podcast is not rated G or PG or even PG-13. For the most part, we are, but every now and then we'll drop an F-bomb or some other inappropriate thought or idea.
Like my bra.
Sorry. Like Anne's bra. I don't know. I consider bra to be rated G because people just be wearing bras and stuff. Why not talk about it?
I don't know who wants to hear about a
So,
50 plus year old woman and her bra.
okay, so maybe rated R then? I don't know what that
Maybe, I
is.
don't know.
I don't know either. So, uh, let's see. Again, join us on Spotify. We're looking for followers. So if you even remotely found this podcast, even if you're just scrolling by and you were like, yeah, that was okay for 30 seconds, please tell people. We're looking for likes. We're looking for followers. We're looking for you to hit the bell on Spotify. Just know we love it if you would interact with us in our after show questions and polls. We want to hear from you. We love you. We want you to love us back.
Mhm.
So there you go.
Yeah.
I know that was a big spiel today. Whew, good
I
stuff.
was. That's a lot to say. Good job, Jenny.
Um, thank you, and I'm going to say it again later in the show too.
Oh, very
So
good.
there.
Yeah, I
Yes,
noticed that people do that.
indeed. Okay, so we start our show with our little spiel like we just did, and also talking about just something smart, dumb, or fun that happened in this past week. I'm going to kick this off, Ann, and I'm going to start by saying that I still make a banging turkey. Okay,
Nice
I was in
job.
charge of Thanksgiving this year because I've become the materfamilias when it comes to family gatherings. And because I make a good turkey. So, and that was no different this year. In fact, my brother-in-law Jim said that my turkey was the star of the show for this meal.
Wow.
He
Nice job.
wasn't wrong. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I can't take any credit for that. A number of years ago, I was watching Barefoot Contessa, and Ina Garten was like doing all of her Thanksgiving stuff. And she showed, how to do a good turkey. And she said you could brine it. And so I found Alton Brown's recipe for a really good brine. And I used her techniques. And now my turkey is banging, dog.
I have to admit that I'm not a huge turkey fan. It's not like I hate it, but it's not like I dream about it. For me, it's usually the mashed potatoes and gravy. But last year when you did it, it was the best turkey I'd ever had, and there was no turkey left. I'm like, it was
Nope.
so good.
Yeah, that's right. I make a good turkey. So,
Mhm.
and what was your smart, dumb, or fun thing?
My fun thing was that cupcakes are still a thing in Toronto. You can still go to places and have all these cupcake options, which I miss a lot because when cupcakes were a thing, I loved that. And I was like, oh, this is never going to last. It's too awesome. But you can't have a store that sells only cupcakes and expect to stay in business for more than a few years. But in Toronto, it's still a thing. In fact, I have a picture, if you're watching us, of the cupcake that I had at a place called Almond Butterfly. Doesn't it sound like a place that sells cupcakes? And this is their almond butterfly inspired cupcake. Now, basically, it's a vanilla cupcake, but the frosting is pink with sprinkles. So I thought it was a
Well,
slightly
and
missed opportunity not to have an almond flavored cupcake. But again, pink with sprinkles, I was 100%. It could be meatloaf flavor, and I'd probably still get it.
and again, if you are going to have if you're going to go to any cake place for the first time, vanilla or like a vanilla cupcake is the standard by which you measure all other cupcakes at that place. Because if they can't do a vanilla cupcake right, they ain't gonna do nothing right.
Why make 31 flavors if you can't get vanilla right?
Correct. And so that is the litmus test by which I test all cupcake establishments. Is the vanilla cupcake delicious? And if it is, we can keep going. We can have a relationship. So
Right.
look, it's Joe Peters. He's walking by. Hi, Joe Peters. See, there he is. That's
Hi,
right.
Joe Peters.
The husband
Um,
lives.
yeah, I unfortunately wasn't going to be spending enough time in Toronto to keep eating cupcakes, so I just went with the one that attracted me the most, and it was pretty. So
Pink is good. Pink is
Mhm.
makes a good for an attractive cupcake. I agree.
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that the Canadians are smart enough to stick with their cupcakes because cupcakes are delicious. And
Uh-huh.
if you've never seen our logo before, then our logo has it's essentially a family crest with my sister and I, and it's topped by a cupcake because cupcakes are amazing.
Cupcake.
And you know, if
Yeah.
you're gonna eat cake, you might as well make it a cupcake because then you can pull it apart and make cupcake sandwich, which I love.
Yeah. So that's
Cake sandwich, cupcake sandwich. Sorry,
there was much
go.
awesome stuff that happened to me this week, but I was like, what can I in a nutshell? Cupcakes.
Cupcake. Okay. All right. So let's talk about that and let's dig into your trip to Toronto, Canada. So while the rest of you were all Thanksgiving and was Thursdaying in beautiful scenic Canada. Fun fact about Canada, it's the world's second largest country by land area. Did you know that, Ann Brothers?
I knew it was real big. I didn't know it was the second largest, but it's pretty darn big.
Yeah, it's like so you have Russia, which is literally like twice as big as everything else, and then Canada, and then a bunch of them that are really close, Canada,
Mhm.
China, United States. But yeah, Russia's like twice as big as anything, so that you can have more desolation and despair, and then the rest of them, then Canada. So who knew?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
So I knew it was big, and we just went to
yeah.
a tiny, tiny part of it. So,
In the tiniest close like, one of the closest parts.
mhm,
This is some other stuff, that you should know about Canada. Anne and Duncan went to Toronto, which is on the shores, you can see here, I have a map of, that part of Canada, this little tiny part of Canada that kinda juts down and borders, Michigan along the Detroit River and St. Clair and what is that? Lake Huron.
mhm,
So that's where Toronto is sits right there on the beautiful shores of Lake Ontario.
mhm,
And I could talk about Lake Ontario forever because it is one of the Great Lakes, but geologically, it's very different than Huron and Erie and Lake Michigan, and much more like Lake Superior, Rift Valley, and all that. It is not the capital of Canada, even though it is the largest city in Canada by population, with somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.8 million people.
mhm.
It is considered their business and their financial capital. So it's basically their version of New York, because though New York is super populous and is the financial and business capital of America, it is also not the capital of the United States. So there you go.
No, it's Ottawa, and I didn't know that before I left. Jenny had to tell me, and I was like, "Really? I thought it was Toronto."
Yeah, I know.
Or maybe I
I
didn't
know.
think at
Everybody
all.
thinks it's Toronto.
Right.
Or Vancouver or Manitoba. No, wait. So wait, Vancouver, Montreal's a big city there. Calgary's a big city. And by
Mhm,
big, they're not very big. They're like maybe a couple 100,000 people, that sort of thing. But
mhm.
I'm not going to bang on any Canadian cities. I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
So,
Yeah, no,
all right.
Toronto's
So say it again. Ann?
Oh, no, I was gonna say, Toronto's big. It's a big city, and I was walking around there, I was like, "This place reminds me of Chicago, only there's less rats that I can see."
That you can see being the key statement there. All right.
Right.
So what I've done is, with the help of my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Jim and Tammy, who are our Gen experts who happen to be here for Thanksgiving, we have compiled a list of questions for you to answer and about your trip to Toronto. Because honestly, it never occurred to me to visit Toronto. I'm like, yeah, Toronto. That's interesting. So here we
Yeah.
go. Question number one. Why did you and Duncan choose Toronto?
Well, Duncan and I live in Michigan, and we're only like an hour from the Canadian border because Detroit and Windsor, Ontario, are just across the river from each other, the Detroit River. So, and neither one of us have been to Canada in decades. Shame on us, I know. So we just like, hey, we should go back to Canada. All right, let's do that. Where do we want to go? How about Toronto? We were looking for a place neither one of us had ever been before, and every time we mentioned it, other people we'd known had been to Toronto, and they all said this like nicest things like, oh, it's a fun place. It's so clean. We love Toronto. Do this. So we kept hearing good things about it. That was our main criteria. We wanted to go someplace we hadn't been to before, but at the same time, we didn't want to have to travel too far because, Thanksgiving weekend, I was like, and plus it was great because if we're going to go on Thanksgiving weekend, most people are coming towards the United States and we were going away from it. So that worked out very
And
well.
again, Thursday there, not it's not a holiday there. So why not travel there on something like Thanksgiving, which is an
Mhm.
American holiday?
Yeah, exactly. So it was just, one of those things like it met all our criteria. Hadn't been there, wasn't too far. We could take the train, which is what we want to do. We did not want to fly. Blah.
So tell me about this big pink thing you're hugging on right here
Okay, so
in this
Duncan and I
picture.
were looking for a coffee place the first morning that we were there. And we were, following our phone GPS. And you know how when you're walking with your phone GPS, it's a little more hinky because it can't quite follow you. And we were walking by this residence and we saw this giant, first thought it was a gummy bear, but it looks kind of like a monkey, the face.
Yeah, it does have a monkeyish. The ears look monkey-like.
Yeah, so we weren't sure if it was a bear or a monkey, but I thought I would, put my hand on its pectoral muscle anyway and take a picture because, you know, 8 o'clock in the morning. You know what? And like most big cities, it does not get up early. Like stuff
Mm.
doesn't start really moving there until about 9:30, 10. So at 8 in the morning, nobody, I mean, it's nobody's out. So
Nobody's
I'm
out
like,
to
hey,
watch you feel up a pink monkey bear thing. Yeah,
monkey bear
cool.
thing. Yeah. So yeah, this is I guess the Soho residence mascot, the pink monkey bear thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent.
yeah. Sometimes I thought,
Question number 2,
huh?
and you kinda answered this, but I'm gonna go ahead. How did you get there?
Well, we drove to Windsor, Ontario, and we went under the bridge. There's if you're in the Detroit area right now, there's two ways to get to uh, Windsor. You can go under the Detroit River through the tunnel, or you can go over the Detroit River on the bridge. The bridge usually takes a lot longer because semis can't go under the tunnel, go through the tunnel. So all the semi traffic, and this is a major international point. There's a tons of stuff enters the United States through Canada from the bridge and vice versa. So it's a very, very busy entrance and exit area. So we decided to take the tunnel because we got through it in like 2 minutes. So super
Nice.
fast. And the reason why we did that is so we could take the train from Windsor to Toronto because we'd heard how nice the trains are there. That way we didn't have to drive because it's about 4 hours if you take the train and longer if you drive. We're like, well, we don't really want to drive. We want somebody else to drive. And we've never been here before. So we don't want to have to worry about it. Driving in a foreign country, so they say
Very
that.
good. So, okay, we just learned 2 important pieces of information. Number 1, if you're gonna bridge or tunnel, take the tunnel,
Mhm.
and, number 2, train, bitch. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about your train ride.
Okay.
Uh, so and as somebody who's ridden I know you've ridden Amtrak many
Mhm.
times, you've taken the Wolverine from the Ann Arbor area to Chicago, and I've had that experience as well, taking the Wolverine from Kalamazoo to Chicago or, you know, the other way. And also I've done a cross country, the Denver Zephyr, to Chicago to Denver on Amtrak. So how are Canadian trains better or worse compared to Amtrak/US trains?
Well, not only have I taken a train from Ann Arbor to Chicago, I've taken a train from Ann Arbor to Las Vegas.
That's right.
Only do that if you're in your 20s, unless you get a birth. Because if you're just going to sit there for 3 days on a train, you're going to hurt. But I was 25. So, anyway. So, oh man, the Canadian train system is amaze balls. Okay. One, they're cleaner. And I mean like 1,000 times cleaner. Two, the food is better. Okay. When we got in the train in the morning, we got toasted bagels with cream cheese and jam. Then we had snack.
What?
Then we had lunch served on plates, Jenny Brothers, not
Shut it. Shut it.
microwave,
You did not just say plates.
on plates. And then because we got into business class, they bring it all to you. Alcohol was included.
What?
I know. Duncan
What
had Duncan had beer. Do you want a Caesar? Yeah, you can get a Caesar. You could murder a Caesar.
we could murder a Caesar on the train in Canada.
Yeah. So it was amazing. It was on time, both there and back. Personal service, like I said, you didn't have to get up for anything. So you want a drink, somebody's bringing you a drink. You want towel for your hand, somebody's bringing it to you. It was fast. Jenny, they acted like they wanted us on the train.
Are you kidding?
I didn't have one person train employee roll their eyes at me one time. It's like, hey,
You
where's the
didn't get
bathroom?
Bach Queen on the train?
I
So
did
that's
not.
amazing.
I didn't nobody rolled their eyes. I was like, bathroom is in the back. It was like,
Hey, hi, Julie. We
hi,
have we have a
Julie.
guest, Julie, on the show. How's it going? We're so glad you're here.
This is my friend Julina Castro. We taught with each other for 4 years in the Wayne Westland public school system. She is still a teacher.
Good job,
God
Julie.
bless her heart. Anyway, so yeah, it was hands down. In fact, I'm gonna be like super spoiled when I get back on an American train. I'm gonna be like, ugh, this is the worst.
Here you go. Now, I did hear you mention that you did take the business class,
Mhm.
on the train, and let me just say this, folks, if you're an adult and you have the means and do business class. If you're taking Amtrak and it's a short trip, like you're doing a Kalamazoo to Chicago or say an Ann Arbor to Chicago or something like that, just treat yourself and get the business class because it's so much better. It's not a little bit better. It's exponentially better. So it's good to know that that's the same on Canadian trains as well.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna walk away from this experience talking to my sister, believing that Canada is just better than us.
Well, their trains certainly are. I got to say, I was like, wow. I mean, as soon as they were like, hello, how are you? And I was like, what do you want? What are you looking at?
Julie wanted to little commentary here that of course Anne's going to talk about food. She knows good food.
I
Yeah,
know, I
she
know.
does.
I never
Yep,
lie about food.
about food. All right, so question number 3, what do you need to get to Canada? Because after all, Canada, we tend not to treat it as a foreign country. Canada is 100% a foreign country. So talk about what you need to get to Canada.
Well, you need your passport or an enhanced driver's license. I would suggest the passport because even though it seems expensive, a passport you only have to renew every 10 years, and an enhanced driver's license is like what, every 4 years or something. So in the end,
Yeah.
it's a much better, it's cost savings. Plus, that way you can use your passport to travel all over the world, not just to Canada and Mexico. So you
Yeah,
need your
yeah,
passport.
because okay, because the advanced driver's license really is only for North America,
Right.
specifically Mexico and Canada.
Right. So make sure you have it. Otherwise, you can't get into Canada, or you can't get back to the US. And make sure your phone plan can be used in Canada. Like Duncan and I have a cheapo phone plan. So we had to add it for like $10 to make sure that we could make calls out of Canada if we wanted to, or just to use our phones in general. Yeah, just make sure that you have your phone. You can call Canada.
Because again, Canada is a foreign country, so
It is a
technically
foreign
these are
country.
international calls.
The thing is, you're like, oh yeah, everybody speaks English in Canada. I was like, it's true, but it seems like everybody seems to speak French too. So
It's that whole French Canadian thing.
it is. They really are making a thing out of that.
Oh, yeah. All right. Question number 4. Pardon me.
Mhm.
How do you deal with the whole different money thing? Because, Canada's got that pink money and orange money and
Right.
weird blue money and purple
Mhm.
money. So talk to
Yeah.
me about the whole money thing.
So Duncan and I kind of talked about it. We brought about $40 in cash, in American dollars. And Montreal is enough of course, it's an international city. So if we had wanted to, we could have gotten cash or exchanged it, but we just used our American Express pretty much the entire time we were there. We came across one place that didn't take credit cards. Everything else took cards. In fact, we came across more places that didn't take cash than not taking credit cards. So we just used our American Express. That's what we did.
Okay.
We didn't bother with exchanging money or anything like that. It's unnecessary. Now, if you're going to a smaller community or maybe in a more rural area, you would probably want to think about having cash, because I know sometimes when we go up to the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, I mean, they'll take your checks there. They're places like, oh,
Excellent point.
we don't take credit cards, but we will take your check. And I was like, okay. So some
Now,
places,
when you go ahead.
no, it's just, and then if you are going to want to exchange money, I would just do it in Canada.
Okay.
And remember that, like, we went to one place where I did use American dollars, but you get your money back in Canadian money. So just, remember and the exchange rate is different. We were lucky in that. How do I want to? I can always get this mixed up. So, something was $50 in Canadian money, but then it was only like $42 in American dollars. So, it was
Gotcha.
like our money went a little bit farther there. So that was nice.
Okay,
But
that's cool.
that can switch over at any time. I remember when we
That
went to Bobolo Island when we were little with Aunt Julie, and our money was worth less.
that's right.
Mhm.
So weird. Canada's weird and their money's weird. It's so hard. But okay, so you guys actually took when you took your so when you guys took your cash over, it was just American cash that you had
Mhm.
with you. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
and
Very
we
good.
only took like $40 in cash, just kind of an emergency cash thing in case we needed it. And then one time my dad found a Canadian $5 bill like 10 years ago. He's like, I'm gonna get you take this because maybe you'll end up in Canada. So I took it with me and we bought Portuguese tarts with it.
Oh, nice. Good job, Dad.
The one place that only took cash, we had $5 in cash. So
I love it. And you don't really think about it, but yeah, I'm like credit cards are pretty much international because
yeah,
you know those banks that support it are international. So
exactly.
there you go. Money
Yeah, so
stuff.
that's what we did. It was just easier.
Nice. All right. So where did you stay?
We stayed at the King Blue Hotel, which is right downtown on the corner of King Street and Blue Jay Way. So it's kind of a little bit of an older building, and we were up on the 6th floor, and the next floor above us was the gym and the swimming pool. So it was super
Mhm.
quiet. It was really nice. We had a lovely room. It was very nice.
And how much a night was that, if you don't mind my asking?
Trying to remember how much it was. It was like How much was it? Do you remember, baby?
It was. I mean, I think it was like 260 something a night
260
Canadian.
something a
It
night,
was
but that was
middle of the week, so it
Canadian.
was cheaper.
So it was. I understand that hotels are expensive in Toronto, but again, we probably could have looked for something cheaper, but we wanted to stay downtown, and we just wanted a nice place, so we were willing to spend the money on that.
And how did you find your hotel?
We just looked at Travelocity,
Mm,
so it's
Travelo
very.
City.
Yeah, exactly. So we just picked one. We're like, which one do we, you know what? And we actually went with one that had the highest guest rating. So I'm like, I wanted to make sure that we didn't bring home special six-legged buddies.
Little special friends.
Exactly.
Yay.
So we went with the one that got the best visitor reviews. That's the one we went with.
That's good. That's a
Mhm,
good, strategy.
mhm.
So yeah, good job. Okay, good. All right, so you stayed at the King Blue Hotel downtown, which I think is again, if you're gonna stay downtown. Don't stay
Yeah.
by the airport. All right, so this is the important question. Number 6. Where did you eat?
Okay, so this isn't everything we ate, but this is some of the highlights. The first night we were there, we had our expensive dinner, which was tapas at Bar Isabel, which was amazing. It was in this old neighborhood, and the building was it was like we stepped back into like Spain or something in the 1940s. The food
Neat.
was delicious. We had, of course, we had the meat and cheese plate, and then we had their special was a salad, and it was, oh gosh, sorry, beets, goat cheese, and roasted nuts with Brussels sprouts with a vinaigrette. It was so delicious. And then we got this tomato, kind of a tomato paste with on homemade sourdough bread, big thick slices
Mm.
of it. It was so good. Oh, and patatas bravas, which I love so
Ooh,
much.
potatoes, the yummy crispy
Potatoes,
hot potatoes.
basically it's hot potatoes, and it was delicious.
Mm, that sounds
So
great.
yeah, and then we had so many pastries, 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 because of course Toronto at its heart is a French town. So if you want to find good French patisserie, it's all over the place. All you have to do is walk into the like here's one, here's one. So we had,
That
and
doesn't
the
sound
ones that
terrible.
we stopped at were the La Gourmande, the French maid, and almond butterfly, which I talked about a little bit, where we had delicious pastries. We had sushi
Mm.
there, very good sushi at a place called Star Sushi. And because it's like a downtown location and everybody there is between like 21 and 39. It seems like nobody cooks for themselves. So there's tons of takeout places. So we kept looking for a sushi place to go to dinner, and we kept finding out, like, no, we only do takeout. No, we only do takeout. So our last night we were kind of pooped. So we just got a big platter of sushi and ate it all.
Nice. I'm like, take
Fine.
out, fine.
Fine. Now we did discover something that I am super in love with now, and that is the soup dumpling. So we were looking for a place to do dim sum in Chinatown, and we kept coming across this place called the Juicy Dumpling that was getting the most reviews, the best reviews for dim sum. And I was like looking at the menu, I'm like, this really isn't dim sum, but it's got really good reviews. So we went there. They're dumplings with like soup inside them, so they're bite sized. So you put the whole thing in your mouth and you bite it, and this warm, delicious soup like fills your mouth with, oh my gosh, with like pork. It was like a pork and onion filling. Jenny, it was so freaking amazing. We ended up having
Oh,
it
juicy
twice.
dumplings.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I was like, soup dumplings. That's my new favorite food. Of course, then we had a lot of sausage and fries and wings because we went to a lot of brew pubs and multi taps and microbreweries, and all of that was very good. Okay, here's the next best thing we had: Portuguese tarts. I know,
What
right?
makes them Portuguese?
I have no idea. They were just like, you're like, oh, it just looked really good. So I'm like, all right, I'll try a Portuguese tart. Instead of doing a shortbread crust, they do a flaky layered crust.
Mm.
Uh-huh. So it's all butter. It's an all butter crust that's super crispy. And then they put all the delicious eggy cream in it. And instead of using and then they use a bunch of cinnamon.
Mm.
They're not
That sounds good.
the most attractive things to look at, but dang. Oh my god, it was so good. And then, of course, we had some sort of crazy ice cream concoction from Sweet Jesus, and it was really cool looking. I didn't think it was the best thing, but there's a picture here if you're watching this with Bear Bear. He's eating the red velvet sweet concoction that we got. And then we found this at La Gourmand. They had mini chocolate soufflés.
Oh, I love that. I want
Mhm.
that. That's what you have for breakfast. We were talking, what, Friday morning, and you said you were
Uh-huh.
just eating a chocolate souffle for breakfast. I'm like, I want to go to Toronto. Laura Worrell is with us, and she says that her dinner is sorely disappointing as I listen to you. I know, right? I'm like, all I had was turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and corn casserole and pie and Texas sheet cake and stuff. Ugh.
That all sounds
Um, I,
really
I,
good. Sounds
it
really good.
was. It
Yeah.
was really good. No, wait. What am I having now? Dinner FOMO, dinner YOLO, dinner something. I don't know.
Anyway,
But dinner
and this
envy. There it is. Whew,
they're
there
in
we go.
yeah, so needless to say, this isn't even all the awesome food I
Mm,
ate. These are just, like, some of the things that popped into my head immediately. So, yeah.
That's
Mhm.
yeah. That's outstanding. That sounds
Soup
really good.
dumplings. Soup dumplings. Brilliant.
Soup dumplings. I can picture that. Now I want that. Now I want that more than
Mhm.
anything I've ever had in the entire world. So, all right. So we now know what you ate. So the next question is, what did you do? Now, let me ask you this though, before we move on to this next question. Where did you find these places? Did you look them up ahead of time? Did you just go rando? Did you talk to the concierge at your hotel? How did you find your establishments for eating?
The first night when we were looking for sushi the first night because we were gonna go see a show and we wanted someplace to have nice dinner because I wore my fancy unicorn dress. So I wanted to go
Mm,
someplace where, my unicorn dress would be appreciated. Like I said, we couldn't find a sushi place that wasn't just takeout.
mm,
So Duncan's
mm.
like, tapas. And I'm like, all right. So we looked up tapas place on our phone. See, that's why it's nice to have your phone work in Canada.
Yes,
And
indeed.
our Isabel came up first with the best reviews. And we're like, well, let's go there. So we looked at a couple other places just to make sure. We're like, that's how we ended up. Like, uh La Gourmande and French Maid. Those ones we just walked by, where I just walked by, I'm like, and they put all the pastry in the window, and you're like, now. So, and soup dumpling, we were looking for um excuse me, we were looking for dim sum, and we just happened to find that. So some of it was walking by, and some of it was I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a head cold now that I brought back from Canada, so I will be
Well, you
sucking
take care of your business, Dan, and I will take a second. So if you need to blow your nose or do whatever,
up.
I'm going to say hi to Jen Hesse real quick. Jen Hesse, what's up, girl? And for those of you that are just joining us, we are talking about Anne's trip to Toronto. She went on a Thanksgiving excursion, well, a Thursday excursion, because in Canada they don't have Thanksgiving; they just have Thursday. So we're talking through. I am going through a process of asking my sister a bunch of questions about her trip to Toronto. We just got done talking about food, currency, how she got there, and now we are moving on to question 7, which is, what did you do while you were in Toronto?
So Duncan and I purposely did not do any planning for this trip other than getting a hotel and booking our train tickets. We did not, sorry about that, folks. We did not make any plans. We were just going to go blind, see what came up. So
Was there a reason for that? Just for shits and giggles or whatever?
I'm a super planner, super planner.
I
And so
know.
usually when we go on vacation together, I already have it all the itinerary, everything's set, all the tickets are purchased. This is what we're doing. D D D D D. So I'm trying to work on being less of a control freak, and Duncan's trying to work on being, more like, "Hey, I'll help too."
And Jen
So
Hesse, she's giving you mad props for that.
mhm,
Yay for planning, adventurous. So I love it.
yes. Yeah,
I
so
love it.
that's what so we did not make any plans other than having a place to sleep and how to get there, making sure we had our passports. That was about it. So when we got there, I was looking up live entertainment because I am the type of person that goes to bed when the sun goes down. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to be in this big city. There's lots of art and culture after dark. We should look for live shows. So Duncan and I were looking up a bunch of live shows, and I was like, eh. Oh, Jagged Little Pill is playing right now in Toronto. So if you're a big Alanis Morissette fan, is that who it is?
That's the one.
Um, yeah.
But instead, you
So
chose the Nerd musical.
exactly. So we chose the musical Six, which is about the six wives of Henry VIII and Jenny. It was amazing. And you know me, I'm not a big musical theater
You're
person,
not. You're like, you are not a musical theater girl.
not at all. But I've been mildly obsessed with Henry's six wives. I don't know, for the last 25 years. My friend Amy, hi Amy, she saw this show and she recommended it. And I was like, talk to Don. I was like, Duncan, what do you think? He's like, yeah, okay. It was amazeballs. I loved it. The music was great. The costumes were great. The 6 women are in it. Kicked so much ass. The band was a 4-piece band was on stage. It was amazeballs. I loved it so much. I can't wait to see it again.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I can keep an eyeball out for that if it ever
Mm-hmm.
comes this way, or I'm just gonna have to go to Toronto to see it. Maybe it'll be in Chicago. That sounds fun. All right, cool. Keep talking.
Okay. Then we went to the Casa Loma, which is this castle that was built by a super rich guy. And like, well, he had it built because he had more money. This is what you build when you have more money than you know what to do with. And so Duncan and I
Cool.
ended up walking there. We walked through Chinatown to get there. And it took us about 45 minutes to walk there. And I thought, we'll probably spend less time in it than we will walking, than we did walking here. We were there for 2 hours. Probably could have spent
Nice.
4 hours there because it was so cool. We got to go into the turrets and everything. The good
Fun.
open city. It was a beautiful, beautiful place. And the guy that built it, I have his name written down here. What's his name? Here we go. Pellet. He built it. And they only got to live there for 10 years before he lost all his money.
No, I hate
Yeah.
it when that happens.
I know.
Yeah.
They didn't even it wasn't even finished. They were still working on it when,
Oh,
yeah. So they ended up having to sell it and auction almost everything off. Now it's a museum.
there you go.
Mhm.
Perfect. Worked out. Now we all get to hang out and enjoy it.
Exactly. We also went to the CN Tower, which stands for the Canadian National. That's what the CN stands for. And it's this really tall point, thing.
Yeah, that's kind of the signature building in Toronto.
Yeah, so we went there. It's super touristy thing to do, but Duncan and I, we have a picture on our of us, like out where you can see it. You can see lots of stuff. It's cool. It was a beautiful, clear day. So, we didn't spend very much time there because it's like, all right, we walked around. It's high up in the air. Let's go get something to eat. So we did
It's
that.
their version of the Sears Tower in Chicago, whatever.
Pretty much. Then we went to the Ripley Aquarium, which is right next door to the CN Tower. And again, I was like, man, it is the tourist thing to do. And because we've been to Shed Aquarium. Jenny, this place kicks Shed Aquarium's ass. I'm not even kidding.
Got it. You did not just say that out loud to me.
Mm-hmm. You know our favorite tank at the Shed Aquarium?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, imagine that, only it's the size of a building. And they have this super slow conveyor belt that goes all the way around. So it's like you're almost like you're standing still, but all the fish are swimming overhead and around you. Jenny, it is amazing.
I've got like shocked face on right now. I have shocked face.
Yeah.
Because Shed Aquarium is like your signature place in Chicago. And the fact that you're telling me that this was better than Shed Aquarium, what the hell is happening?
Oodle's better. I mean, it was still filled with snotty-nosed kids, but dang, Jenny, I was like, you know how you just like to stand in one spot and let all the fish come to you? Well, this, like I said, it was a slow-moving conveyor belt. So you were moving so slowly that it was like still all the fish were coming to you. So cool.
You're saying that the fish are coming to me. I don't have to work to get to the fish. All I got to do is stand there with my mouth open and watch fish. That is amazing.
And nobody's walking in front of you to try to get your spot. There's no kids pushing you out of the way because they're on their own part of the conveyor belt.
Nice. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at Jen Hesse's comment. Jen Hesse's with us. She commented that Casa Loma, 2 hours plus going through it, sounds about how long it would take to go through my house, minus about 1 hour and 55 minutes.
Yeah, it's great. And the funny thing is, like, this house was built for this man and his wife, so only 2 people ever lived there.
Okay, well, that's yeah, maybe they didn't like each other and they just really needed some space. So there's that.
They did. They each had their own like section of the house, So
dang.
we went to Chinatown, of course. We walked through Chinatown a couple times to get to other places. It's cool. The food. Hey, if you want to see a bunch of dead ducks hang in a window that look delicious, Chinatown.
That's cool. I can do that.
Now in Indiatown, it was all saris and gold jewelry. And you know me, I love sparkly crap. So I was like, oh my God, I love this place a million. I wanted to buy a sari, but nobody wants to see a 55-year or 54-year-old white woman walking around in a sari. So I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Winter.
They don't.
Yeah. I went to the Art Gallery of Ontario and saw the Keith Haring exhibit. And he was very iconic in the 80s. In fact, I have a little picture of one of his drawings. In fact, if you see his work, you're like, oh yeah, I know who. I've seen this work before. He died when he was 31. He was very young, but already by the time he died, he was already an icon of art of the 1980s. So Very.
Yeah, and I'm trying to.
Here's an interesting thing. He had a lot of homoerotic art, and it was on exhibit. And there was all these school kids looking at all of his art. I was like, in America, we would have some sort of religious group protesting outside this museum. And in Canada, all the kids come and see all the amazing art. So I was just like, huh,
Hmm,
hmm,
interesting. Hmm.
was interesting. Because of course
Yeah.
he was a gay man who contracted AIDS, and so a lot of his art had to do with the shame put on him and others for being gay, and then he did a bunch of art to help promote safe sex and to promote finding cures for AIDS, and he was very instrumental in this. And then he also, which kind of reminded me of Toulouse-Lautrec, who was an illustrator, but he did a lot of advertising work, and so did Keith Haring. He did some stuff that was
Right.
actually used for advertising. So he ran the gamut. People like Banksy and anybody that does like guerrilla art, they owe a lot to this man because he started, literally drawing on posters, blank posters in subways.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a great exhibit. I really enjoyed it. And then I went to the St. Lawrence Market, which is amazing. I just wish I'd gone there when I was hungry because we had just eaten breakfast. And I was like, I want to eat all this food.
The
So that was
waste of a perfectly good trip to a market.
exactly. So very cool.
Nice. All right. So question number 8. That is a full because you were what for there? What 2.5 days? 3 days?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, came back Friday.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you packed a lot into a very short amount of time. That's awesome.
We tried
So
to.
question number 8 was what was your favorite thing? So you did all these things. What was your favorite thing that you did?
Okay. So my first favorite thing, and this is funny, um, where the CN Tower is in the Ripley aquarium, there's tall buildings around it. So it kind of, and you're down low. So it reminds you of cliffs. It feels like you're in a cliff surrounded by cliffs, only there are skyscrapers. And so the peregrine falcons hang out there. And at one point, Duncan and I are walking, and I hear this raptor, this bird that sounds like a raptor. And sometimes they play like raptor sounds because, it's Toronto, so it's full of pigeons, like all big towns. And then I realized that I also hear a bird in distress. And what had happened is one of the peregrine falcons had come down, taken a pigeon, and they were up in one of the balconies eating the pigeon.
There you go.
You could see
Nature.
feathers flying, and this peregrine falcon was like, "Ree, ree." It was awesome.
Like it's Thanksgiving for me, bitches. That's
Mhm.
right.
Uh-huh. And then
That's awesome.
yeah, and then the next evening we were walking at night and the moon was right. It had been pretty cloudy, but the moon had come out of the clouds and was rising over the CN Tower. And they light up the CN Tower at night. It was really beautiful. I was like, wow, I could stand here for an hour and watch this. Soup
Nice.
dumplings were one of my favorite things. And then the musical Six. So yeah.
Cool.
Mhm,
Very cool.
mhm.
Um, so that's your picture then of the CN Tower.
It's not, unfortunately. I found it because yeah, I'm not a big picture taker. I was like, I don't want to like I like to look at it. I don't want to have to like fumble with my phone. I just want to like. So
Right.
I found that one because it was very similar to what I saw. But the one that we saw was it wasn't a full moon. It was a waxing moon. So
Okay.
mhm,
Nice. That's awesome.
mhm.
Okay. I especially like the idea of the peregrine falcon hunting pigeons. That's just
I thought
cool.
that was amazing. I was like, oh my god, I love this. Oh hey Duncan, now you have to talk about the beer scene.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Come on, Duncan. All right. So this was a question, and this
No,
specifically came from Jim Peters. He wanted to know what was the beer situation like in Toronto. So who better
Go ahead.
to talk about the beer situation in Toronto than world famous brewmaster Duncan Williams? Let's give a big hand, everybody. Duncan Williams is here. That's right. Duncan, welcome aboard.
Hey,
We're glad to have you. Please tell us about the beer situation in Toronto, Canada.
I'd say, yeah, the beer situation in Canada is, at first glance, I think it's better than in the United States. The craft beer renaissance happened in Canada a little delayed than it did in America, but it eventually kind of got there. I've been to brewers conferences and stuff where I've met brewers from Canada working at craft breweries, and so yeah, no, craft beer is alive and well in in Canada. I thought Toronto had a pretty nice beer scene. it had there are a number of breweries that were making some beers like mild ales, and other sort of beers that really aren't made anymore, brown ales and stuff. Where in America, it's kind of harder to get that kind of thing.
And that's a shame because brown ales are amazing.
Right. It's basically IPA is king right now, and IPAs are
I do
great.
not enjoy.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not everyone's into them, but I noticed in the Toronto area, there's Steam Whistle. There was Indie Ale House in Amsterdam. Those are sort of the bigger breweries. They're certainly not Molson or anything, but they're bigger craft breweries. I had the Steam Whistle had one of their premium lagers on the train. So I got to drink a 16-ounce beer on the train for free, which was
for
nice.
Free.
Yeah, exactly. As far as downtown, there were a number of breweries. I didn't get to all of them, but the ones I did get to, Mascot was like a little pub down the street from our hotel. It was black owned, which I found out, which is cool. They have had a couple decent beers on tap. They had some food that looked interesting. We didn't have a chance to eat food there, but we talked about going back. We just didn't. There's a multi-tap called the Bar Hop, which got recommended by a friend of mine, and it was cool. It was, again, they had a mild ale. They had a mild ale made at Great Lakes in Cincinnati or Cleveland or whatever. It was an American beer on nitro. That's what I'm drinking in this picture. And then then I had a pale ale from another brewery. And again, very vibe. There's a bar called Ashley's in Ann Arbor, and like a lot of multi-taps, it's not the same as what it was, but this place reminded me of Ashley's, 10, 15 years ago. It was a neat place. The food was good. Ann and I split some wings and some duck fat fries. And so, that was really good. And Ann had a Montezuma mule as she normally does, a Moscow mule with tequila because
tequila
and tequila, yeah. And I did when Ann was at a museum, I went to a place called King Taps. It was sort of a corporate-ish place, and it was like on a Friday afternoon, so it was packed with people who work downtown. And again, they had a mild ale on, which I thought is pretty good. I can't remember the name of the brewery. And then I had one other beer. It was fine, but it was neat. It was great. The best brewery was Godspeed, and again, this got recommended the same person who recommended Bar Hop. Nice. And it's in a Czech and Japanese inspired brewery. So they do a lot of like Czech Pilsners. They do a lot of traditional decoction methods for brewing, which can affect the flavor of the beer. And they do it very traditionally, like they do over in the Czech Republic. Some of the beers they're adding different Asian fruits and other thing. And we had this tea, seltzer tea thing they made, which just has a little bit of sugar, and it's made with a blend of a couple different Asian teas. And she bought a couple cans of it because it was really, really good. And it was the proceeds were stopping Asian hate, Pacific Islander Asian hate on them and stuff. And but the beers are great. The beers were clean and really, really good. I bought like 2 6-packs home and drank some and gave some to friends and stuff. And
nice.
But then they were also
cool.
doing some American stuff and some British stuff and the like. So and again, there was a different restaurant there that was just doing like German food, like bratwurst and schnitzel and stuff like that. So
awesome.
Yeah. So no, I think as far as like going into a multi-tap, it just there's so many disappointing multi-taps in this country now. Where going to Canada, it's again, in so many ways, Canada's so much better than us. So
Canada again? No.
I'm thinking about immigrating actually. So. Cheers.
Right on. Thanks, Duncan. That was Duncan Williams, brewmeister, brother-in-law, and just giving us the rundown. So there you go, Jim Peters. Now Duncan Williams has given you the amazing rundown of the beer scene in Toronto, which it sounds great. Now I feel like I need to go hang out at Godspeed and go drink some Japanese inspired beers. So that's awesome.
And it was right around the corner from India Town. So then afterwards we can go sari shopping.
Sari shopping, because Anne's gonna, like it or not, you're gonna see Ann Brothers walking around in a sari in the middle of winter.
Exactly. I'm gonna be culturally inappropriate and be wearing a sari, and I'm sorry because they're just so gorgeously beautiful. How could I resist?
You can't. You cannot resist. Well, you could if you
Mhm.
wanted to. So there's that.
Yeah, but I have money and I'm an American and I feel like I can do what I want.
That's true. That's true.
But I haven't
All
done it
right.
yet.
So we're gonna jump to question number 10. Here it is. Is there anything you did or experienced that was lame and
Yes.
you're
I
sorry
went
you
to
didn't?
the Second Cup Cafe, which had over roasted coffee and terrible pastry. I got this carrot and walnut cake loaf. Very excited about it because it had like a cream cheese frosting on the top. The cake was stale. The frosting tasted like glue. I ate the whole thing
Ew.
anyway.
Oh, because you spent money on it. So even though it tasted like ass, you ate it anyway.
I did, but I did
That's
not finish the coffee because it was so terrible. I was like, "Oh, man, how can you be a thing here with all this amazing stuff and serve crap?" So
sorry. I'm sorry you had to experience that. And what's the other thing that you did not like?
I went to Swipe Bookstore. I picked this bookstore because it was just close to where we were staying and I could walk there. And I was really excited because I love a bookstore, but it was actually an upscale souvenir shop with a few books. I still bought a
That
book,
sold some books. Hi,
but
Wilma Graber. I
hi,
just want to say
Wilma.
hi to Wilma real quick.
Hi,
Hi. Thank you
Wilma.
for watching. We love you.
Yeah, we love you. Yeah, so there's so many amazing things to do in Toronto. Don't do either of those.
Okay. Just
Mhm,
skip it. So these are the things you should skip. If you're watching this and you're in Toronto, you can go to Second Cup and be like,
mhm.
not
Nope,
going there.
nope. Just go
Swipe
next door
bookstore,
to the next cafe, literally.
whatever it is.
Mhm.
All right. Good to know. All right. And then question 11, is there anything that you'd have liked to have done that you didn't have time to do?
I would go to the Royal Ontario Museum. It's kind of like their natural history museum. I would
Mm,
go back to the St. Lawrence Market when I was very hungry and eat my way through it. That's what most of these
good to
pictures
know.
are.
So next
And
time you'll have to literally start there.
yeah, I literally am. And then I would take the ferry to Toronto Island, which is actually it's a set of archipelago of islands that are kind of in the bay there. I have a picture of that too that you can see.
I
Get a
can see it.
great view from it from the CN Tower, and they have a ferry that goes there. I would take the ferry. I'd go hike that island because it's beautiful. There's an airport on it, a teeny little airport even. So
Oh, no way.
yeah, I would go there and check that out. Those are the things. Oh, I also have a picture here. If you're watching, a picture of the Portuguese tart. You see, it doesn't look very fancy or anything, but dang, I
Is that the one
kept.
down at the bottom?
Yeah, yeah. You're just like
Yeah, it just kind of looks like a muffin. I'm like, what's with the muffin? It's not a
yeah,
muffin, people. It's a Portuguese tart. Get it
Portuguese
together.
tart. Yeah. And it was
Okay.
like, oh, so like literally we had them 3 different times. That's how amazing they were.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yummy.
Yeah. I only had the
That's a good
souffle
sign.
twice. Uh-huh.
Excellent.
Mhm.
All right. And question 12, and technically there were 13 questions. We had a 2A, but will you return to Toronto? Explain.
Yes, I would love to go to Toronto again, but I would love to go with like friends or like another couple. So you and Joe or our
Ooh,
friends
ooh,
Matt and
pick
Elliot.
me. I'm a friend.
Yeah,
I'm your friend. Pick me. Pick me. Pick me. I want
exactly.
to go.
So I think like it would be a fun, super fun place to go with another couple. We could do some of the
We have passports too, and I don't even think mine's expired yet. So I think
yeah,
I've still got like 2 more years on my passport. Yay.
exactly.
Okay, good. I can go.
Yeah. So super, super fun place to go. And like I said, and I didn't even do any of the sporting stuff. And I understand Toronto is a big sporting place.
They do have they have an original six hockey team that would be the Maple Leafs of Toronto. They have a baseball team,
The Blue
the Blue
Jays?
Jays, and of course they have the Toronto Raptors. That's their basketball team, and I'm sure they have a CFL team. That's yeah, Canadian football team, the Argonauts, I believe, Toronto Argonauts. So yeah, they have many sporting things to do there.
Yeah. So if you want to do the sporting stuff, what's funny? Oh, we were kept talking. You know how you see like you go to some places and they have like kind of like a rickshaw sort of thing where somebody's got like an electric bicycle. They don't have those in Toronto, and sometimes we wish they did. I'm like,
Yeah, walking gets old after a while. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So they don't have that. So I know we saw them like they have them all over Ann Arbor. They do not have them in Toronto. So
Interesting.
yes, totally would go again. It's a fun town, fun city, big city. If you want to do big city stuff, it's a great place to do it.
Great place to do big city, as you said. Now, I've heard lots of things about it being a clean city. Would you describe it as being clean compared to, say, like a Chicago or a Detroit or something like that?
It's a big city, so it's not as it's not, I wouldn't eat off the sidewalk, but it was cleaner
Fair
than
enough.
Chicago. When we were in Milwaukee, I would say
Yeah.
Milwaukee is cleaner than Toronto, but Toronto is much bigger. But Toronto was way cleaner than Chicago and 1,000 times cleaner than DC. So,
Okay. Good to know.
oh,
All
and
these
then
things are
like
good to know.
all of those places are all cleaner than New Orleans, and I adore New
Yeah.
Orleans. But
Yeah.
dang, does that place smell like fish?
New Orleans is grimy.
Is grimy, which is part of its
Grimy, kind
charm.
of sticky, kind of stinky. Yeah, that's
You
New
know,
Orleans. So
but
yeah,
it's so
okay.
warm there. Everything is rotting there. Everything.
Everything
Food.
is rotting and kind of saggy. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it up there. Everything lives there. Every rat, every roach, every
yeah.
other sort of thing lives there. So yeah,
Mhm.
that I get it. So
So, for a big city, yes, Toronto was very clean.
nice. That's cool.
Uh-huh.
Well, and I think you made the right choice by skipping the family thing and going to Toronto because that sounds like it was really fun.
It was.
So
We had a good time. We had a very good time.
and if you feel like it, we do have some leftover turkey, but just a little bit. And Joe and I are probably going to eat that for dinner tonight. So
Good for you.
sorry, no
No,
turkey
that's
for you this year.
no, that's
So
okay.
you're
We
just
had
gonna have to live with the memory of your tapas and your sushi and your
dumplings,
Portuguese tarts and your
soup
soup
dumplings,
dumplings and
dumplings.
yeah, and I'll just live with my memories of my delicious stuffing. So there's that.
Exactly, exactly.
Hey, folks, if you are watching, if you are listening, and we need your help, we are looking to expand our brand. You can help. You can find us on Spotify. You can listen to us on the Facebook and share us there. You can listen to us on the YouTube. And actually, probably the easiest one right now to find us is Spotify. All you got to do is just type in the Brothers Sisters. Our shining little faces will pop up with our logo. You can listen to this one. You can listen to our last two shows because that's right. We are officially a thing now on Spotify. Tell people about us. Interact with us with our weekly poll and question. We're actually going to post our poll questions on Spotify. I'm actually going to post it here on the Facebook as well. So we'd love to hear from you. It's basically just some questions about where should Ann go next? Where in the world will Ann Brothers go next, or me? And so we've got some choices there. But yeah, so we're, like I said, looking to expand, help us expand, share, like, love, interact. Yeah, because we love you too. And we want you to be a thing with us. So
Exactly.
Jen Hesse says, great show. You two. Toronto sounds amazing. I know, doesn't it? Who knew that
Oh,
when you said you were going to Toronto, I was like, Toronto, like in Canada? And so, now you know.
yeah.
Canada.
So now I'm one of those people that's been to Toronto. I was like, yeah, it's a great place to go.
It
Yeah.
is. It is indeed.
Mhm.
As far as next week, your sneak peek for next week. Is that it's the most wonderful time of year. We are crawling into December. That's right. We're closing the book on our November shows. This is the last week of November. Next week we'll be doing our show on the 3rd of just December 3rd. But next week's show, you guys, we're going to Costco because I was at Costco a few weeks ago, just kind of looking around, and it's amazing how much crap they have at Costco. So we're just going to go to Costco and look around, see what's
Mhm.
up, watch because there's got to be something there
Mhm.
that's worthwhile and fun, interesting. And it's just amazing how much useless crap you can find at Costco. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do some Christmas shopping at Costco. I don't even know if we're going to Christmas shop because we don't really do presents in the family anymore.
No,
So
it's
we're going
like
to help you find out what you can't live without at Costco. And we're going to brave it on a Sunday
yeah, we're
in the
gonna
Christmas season because we love you that much. So
exactly.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we pass as middle
Uh,
class. We can buy stuff we want at Costco.
we can kind of, yes. But I find it really, I buy like 4 basic things at Costco: cat litter,
Toilet paper.
laundry detergent, bird seed, and whatever dinners they have available. Normally the chicken noodle soup. So
Yeah, we usually we get airborne there and
mm,
toilet paper.
oh
Um
yes, toilet paper. Did I
toilet
say
paper.
that? I don't remember saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say vinegar. I go through a lot of vinegar in the summer when I'm cleaning out my hummingbird feeders.
Truth.
Um we get salts for the oh, what do they call it? Soft water salts. We usually
Oh,
get
that's
that
right,
there.
for your soft
Mhm.
water thing there. So
And
that's
then again,
cool.
whatever dinner. Usually chicken noodle soup, sometimes lasagna, sometimes the, stuffed noodles, sometimes
Stuff.
the tacos.
Get that pesto salmon stuff because that stuff is
Mhm.
good. So yeah.
Yeah, so but usually I try to get in out of there because I hate Costco.
Yeah, I do. I
Yes,
usually go with my little list, and I try to get out of there quick because,
right.
like you, I do
No,
not enjoy
so
spending large amounts of time, especially, again, during the Christmas season and especially on the weekend, which is what we're gonna be doing because We're just like that.
Because we love
Indeed.
you so much.
Because we love you guys so much. But anyway, that is our show for this week. And Brothers, wait, I gotta take that out. Oh, there we go. And Brothers, thank you for sharing your experience. Duncan Williams, thank you for sharing your beer knowledge with us and taking us through the scene, the beer scene in Toronto, because that's amazing. So yeah. Wait, I have to play our amazing music. Hang on. Oh no, I want the dance pop one. There it is. Can you hear that?
Here we go.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Can you hear it? I've got it cranked
just
up.
mix
I don't
up
know. It does. I don't know. Anyway, so hey, everybody, thanks so much. And like I said, we will see you next week where we are going Costco shopping. You will be with us, kind of, maybe. I don't know if we're going to be doing it live next week or not, but we will keep you posted. We will definitely, you'll be able to find our experiences on Spotify. So here's to you with brand. Oh, wait, I got to put our brother sister promo stuff behind us. Thanks, you guys. Have a great
Bye,
week.
everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving belated. Peace out.